Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie starts in a forest, where we see a father and his young son on a hunting trip. The father has just killed a deer and hands his son the knife, encouraging him enthusiastically to skin it. But the boy appears terrified, frozen in place with fear. Instead of comforting him, the father grows impatient and starts yelling. The scene fades, and years pass. This is where the real story begins. The story shifts to a couple, Olivia and Reed, who are madly in love and engaged. Reed proposes to Olivia, and she accepts, bringing joy to both of them. To celebrate, they throw an engagement party at Reed's family's secluded house in the middle of the forest. The atmosphere is lively and energetic, with friends and relatives gathering, all genuinely happy for the couple. Reed spends most of the evening taking pictures with his camera to capture the memories, especially of Olivia with their friends. Everything seems perfect on the surface, but beneath the happiness lies an old wound. Reed hasn't spoken to his father in years, and the reason remains unclear. However, the tension between them is obvious. Despite the estrangement, Reed's father seems concerned about him. Later, as Olivia and Reed prepare to return to the city, Reed's father tells him that he's packed the car with essentials, food, fuel, extra clothes, and even weapons. Reed doesn't understand why all this is necessary, especially since it's just a drive. But his father insists and warns him that the road ahead is unpredictable. Before they part ways, his father brings up Reed's decision to marry Olivia, asking if he's truly ready for it and if he's really moved on from the past. This touches a nerve for Reed, but before the conversation turns into an argument, Olivia arrives and the two leave. As they drive, the tension lingers. Olivia tries to reassure Reed, encouraging him to focus on their future and not dwell on the past. At that moment, a car suddenly appears on the road, and Reed narrowly avoids an accident. The close call rattles them both, especially since Olivia reveals she's pregnant. After the incident, they discover they've taken a wrong turn and are now lost, faced with two paths, right or left. Reed leans toward one direction, but Olivia chooses the other, saying there's a gas station down that road. Reluctantly, Reed agrees to follow her suggestion. They stop at a rundown gas station that looks almost abandoned. Olivia needs to use the restroom, so they enter the small shop and find an old man sitting silently behind the counter, motionless. Despite their attempts to get his attention, he doesn't move. The atmosphere grows increasingly unsettling. Suddenly, a strange woman appears, her demeanor harsh and terrifying. She demands to know who they are and why they're disturbing her husband. The couple explains that they're lost, and Olivia urgently needs to use the restroom. They also ask if she has a map. Instead of helping immediately, the woman laughs, approaches the old man, and speaks to him as if the couple isn't there. Her tone is eerily calm, sending chills down their spines. She makes a blood-curdling comment saying, "People who end up here always get lost." Her words unsettle the couple, especially since the old man remains unresponsive. Finally, she gives Olivia the bathroom key. As Olivia leaves, the woman turns to Reed and starts explaining a shortcut through the forest, claiming it's the fastest way back to the city. Despite his doubts, Reed takes her directions. The two drive off, increasingly uneasy about the path they've chosen. As they drive, the strange woman watches them leave, smiling in a way that suggests she knows the horrors awaiting them ahead. Without realizing what's in store, they continue their journey. Along the way, they notice a shortcut and decide to take it. Reed is still visibly upset, haunted by his father's words. Memories from his childhood resurface. His father, a natural hunter, always wanted Reed to follow in his footsteps. When Reed was just 9 years old, his father killed a deer in front of him and ordered him to skin it. That moment stayed with Reed, and he swore he'd never become that kind of man. He couldn't bear the thought of his children looking at him with the same fear and disgust. As they drive, a sudden obstacle interrupts his thoughts. A rusty old car wreck lying in the middle of the road, looking like it's been there for years. Olivia warns Reed that this is the second time today he's almost caused an accident and urges him to drive more carefully. Clearly frustrated with his distracted behavior, she seems upset. Reed, confused by everything happening, gets out to move the wreck to the side of the road. As soon as he starts driving again, something terrifying happens. Blood begins dripping onto the car's windshield, spreading slowly until the entire glass is covered in red. A dark, demonic whisper calls Reed's name. Startled, he snaps out of it, finding Olivia next to him, asking if he's okay. He assumes he's just tired from driving for so long and brushes it off. But when he mentions that hours have passed, Olivia corrects him, saying it's only been 5 minutes. Confused, Reed dismisses the incident, assuming his exhausted mind is playing tricks on him. The deeper they venture into the forest, the stranger things become. Reed spots an old man standing by the side of the road, Despite Olivia's warnings that the man could be dangerous, Reed stops the car and asks if he needs help. The old man, upon seeing them, panics and starts yelling at them to turn back. Terrified, they drive away as the tension between them escalates. Olivia accuses Reed of being reckless, stopping for strangers in the middle of nowhere and almost causing accidents. She questions whether he's punishing her for something that happened 3 years ago. Reed tries to calm her down, admitting that everything is his fault. Though Olivia falls silent, neither of them realizes the true terror still awaiting them. Later, they stop the car so Olivia can use the restroom. She heads into the forest while Reed waits in the car. Suddenly, a rock hits the car. Reed sees a shadow running in the distance and feels a jolt when something strikes the car, injuring his hand. Meanwhile, in the forest, Olivia senses something following her. She runs back, terrified, and tells Reed they need to leave immediately. As they drive, Olivia mentions the strange couple who gave them directions earlier, but Reed has no memory of meeting anyone like that. Confused, he asks when this happened, but Olivia insists it did. She suggests he take a break, thinking he's just tired. Reed eventually falls asleep. When he wakes up, they're still driving. Frustrated, he asks why they haven't left the road yet. Olivia looks at him and says something chilling. "We're never going to make it home." Reed looks at her, only to see her face transform into something demonic. Startled, he blinks, and Olivia is back to normal, acting as if nothing happened. There was no trace of the shadow, no panic, and no sign of the horrors they had witnessed. Reed started to feel that something was off. Even though they had left the engagement party just hours ago, they were still stuck on the same shortcut road, and their car's fuel was about to run out too. Olivia, on the other hand, seemed unaware of how much time had passed. She couldn't remember when they started driving or anything that had happened since then. Confused and growing more anxious, she suddenly saw a figure on the road. Fear took over her, and the car came to a stop. They got out to get some fresh air, but they found that the daylight had vanished. The morning sky had turned to night in an instant. Reed was stunned, unable to explain how time had slipped away from them. Then the strangest thing happened. They found themselves back at the same spot with the broken bumper. But now the situation was even more complicated. They saw a car parked next to the bumper, a car that looked exactly like theirs, with a blood-covered corpse hanging from it. Terror struck them. As they tried to escape, a shadowy, ghostly figure emerged from the forest. Their car's fuel tank was empty, and even though they tried to reverse, the car refused to move. They hit the figure, but it didn't die. It wasn't human. Just as death seemed inevitable for them, another car appeared in the distance. Its horn distracted the figure. The two of them took advantage of the distraction and ran into the forest. Olivia, terrified and desperate, broke down. She begged Reed to go back home and confessed to past infidelities, saying it out of despair, hoping for forgiveness and a second chance. Reed tried to stay optimistic, reassuring her that they would survive this ordeal. While they hid, the shadowy figure searched for them, but in the end, it disappeared among the trees. They decided to run and tried to make it to the highway, but the nightmare continued. No matter where they went, they always ended up back at the same spot with the broken bumper. Their memories became unreliable. Sometimes they argued, and other times they laughed, but none of it made sense. Time and place lost all meaning, as if something was toying with their minds. Eventually, Olivia left him and walked away in frustration. But before Reed could process this, the ghostly figure returned. This time, it struck them and caused them to lose consciousness. When Reed woke up, they were both tied up. In front of them, the figure was devouring the corpse that had been hanging from the tree. Olivia cried, realizing that the creature would come for them next. She confessed to more than just old infidelities. She admitted she was still involved with someone else. Reed, heartbroken and confused, couldn't understand why she was so intent on hurting him. He then asked her if the baby she was carrying was really his. Olivia assured him it was his. Before he could fully process this, the masked figure spoke, revealing Olivia's secrets and showing it knew everything about her. The figure called her a traitor and tried to kill her, but before it could strike Olivia, something unexpected happened. The strange man who had earlier told them to turn back suddenly reappeared. He struck the creature, knocking it unconscious, then quickly untied Olivia and Reed, urging them to leave immediately. He warned them that the figure wouldn't stay unconscious for long. As they fled, Reed found the man strangely familiar, though he couldn't remember him. He asked the man what was happening and where they were. The man revealed a shocking truth. This wasn't an ordinary road. It was a strange dimension, a connection between countless parallel universes. Anyone trapped here would keep driving forever, with no way out. The man claimed he had been stuck here for ages, unable to escape. He explained that every version of them existed here, their past, present, and future selves. They could meet all their versions, but the most terrifying part was that this road erased their memories over and over again. No matter how hard they tried to understand what was happening, they would forget everything. However, the man said something had changed. Olivia and Reed had done something no one else had ever done before. They had disrupted the system and might have even found a way to escape. Before they could get any answers, the road began affecting the man too. He forgot who Reed and Olivia were and then became hostile, accusing them of trying to kill him. Panicked, they ran again into the endless forest. Reed was still angry at Olivia, her betrayal weighing heavily on him. But despite everything, he couldn't leave her alone. He was determined to get her out of this nightmare at any cost. Then an idea struck him. If what the man said was true, their past selves would also arrive at the broken bumper soon, the exact spot where they had once stopped for a bathroom break. This meant they had one chance. If they could meet their past selves and steal the fuel from their car, they could refill their own car and find a way home. But what exactly had they done in the past that had triggered this escape route? Suddenly, they remembered the moment the shadowy figure had first appeared. They had reversed the car. The word reverse might be the key. Now their plan was clear. They waited in the forest, and just as the man had said, their past versions, Reed and Olivia, arrived and stopped the car for a bathroom break. The current Reed told Olivia to stay hidden. He knew what was about to happen. He grabbed a rock and threw it toward his past self to distract him. The past Reed noticed the rock, just as it had happened before. The loop was now complete. Then the current Reed ran to the car, took the hidden fuel, and fled. From a distance, the past Reed saw a shadow moving through the forest. The same shadow he had noticed at the very beginning. Everything now made sense. That shadow wasn't a ghost, it was him. They were trapped in a loop of their own actions, a puzzle where each piece was starting to fit together. Reed and Olivia now had the fuel and finally had a chance to escape this cursed dimension. They got into the car, preparing to reverse and break free. Before they reversed, Reed forgave Olivia in his heart for everything and decided to start fresh with her. Olivia felt relieved, but Reed was seriously injured. As she turned to the back seat to grab a bandage, she noticed something horrifying. A jacket and knife identical to those of the mysterious killer. In that moment, Olivia realized a terrifying truth. The ghostly figure wasn't someone else. It was Reed from the future. Fear consumed her. She grabbed the knife and forced Reed out of the car, convinced he would eventually try to kill her too. Reed, though confused and hurt, left without resisting. The shadow, likely Reed's future self, appeared again and approached him. With no other choice, Reed ran. Olivia, now left alone in the car, began to see illusions. The hallucinations intensified, and then the shadow attacked her. When its mask fell off, Olivia was shocked to see her own face. It wasn't Red who killed anyone. It was her who was the killer all along. When she copied the fantasy from Olivia, getting closer to finish her off, Red suddenly returned and killed her just in time. Olivia was severely injured, but for a moment it seemed as if the nightmare had finally ended. But there was still another twist. If there was an Olivia in the future, then surely there was a Red in the future too. And he appeared after a while, more sinister than ever before. Before he could strike the current Red, Red managed to kill him as well. He helped Olivia get back to the car and started reversing. As the car moved backward, the cursed road began to collapse. A mysterious light appeared at the end of the path. As they passed through it, the dimension began to dissolve. Finally, they returned to the same place where it all began, the shortcut road. Red smiled, thinking they had finally survived. But then he looked at Olivia and realized she was no longer breathing. Devastated and broken, Red called his father, who tried to reassure him that, with time, he would forget everything. At that moment, Red remembered. He couldn't forget, not until he returned to that road. Letting go of Olivia's memory was too painful. He left her behind and grabbed the same wooden staff he once saw in the hands of that strange man. Because now, Red had become that haunted, broken man. Heading back to the cursed highway without knowing, the truth was, Olivia began to slowly wake up. She was alive and pregnant. At that moment, Red reached the cursed road again. Slowly, his memories began to fade. But in that instant, a little girl called out to him. She was holding a picture of Red and Olivia. Her eyes were exactly like his. That's when Red realized Olivia had survived. She had returned to find him and had given birth to their daughter. And that's exactly where the story ends. See you in a new recap.